What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another deck profile, and this time, it's for Eldlich Dragoon. So I feel as though this deck is a little bit of a sleeper pick at the moment for the format. Like, everyone knows what Eldlich is and what it does, so that's a bit of a kind of a letdown, but it always just kind of hangs around. It never gets in the ban list. We might see a hit to Dragoon, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't pick up the deck, because Eldlich is just kind of a decent deck to have around. I do apologize for this one as well. If you can hear like a bunch of wind and rain going on, we're having like a mini cyclone here at the moment, so hopefully that is not too distracting. Otherwise, hopefully you can hear the nice cool sound of the rain and stuff hitting my tin roof. But, yeah, that's Australian, isn't it? Having a tin roof. Wonderful. Before we get started, though, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people on the channel. And let's get on into the deck profile for this one. Before we do get started on this one, though, it is brought to you, of course, by yourplaymat.com, who got us our beautiful NolanTCG extra deck sleeves. These are available on yourplaymat.com, as well as you can get custom sleeves and custom playmats, so whatever you need for the current format. There is an affiliate link in the description down below that does get you a little bit of a discount on your order. Also, enter the code NOLAN10YP for 10% off your order. Also kicks back a little bit to the channel, so everything will be very much appreciated. If you're shopping there, you're getting custom sleeves, custom playmats down. Make sure to enter our code at checkout. But let's get on into this deck profile. Okay, starting us off for the deck profile for this one, we are playing 3 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. I just feel as though playing 2 sometimes can be risky. Getting crowed and stuff like that against things like Tri-Brigade can really ruin your day if they are playing that. But obviously, I feel like 3 is probably the best way to go. You can cut it down to 2, given that stuff like Ice Dragon's Prison has kind of rotated out of the format. Playing 2 would mean it's like a game over card for you, pretty much. However, with it being at 3, you can kind of dodge that. Really just playing around like DD Crow and maybe Ariel that's come into the things with Shadol being a bit more prevalent, getting that recent support. Then we are playing a small Dogmatica line, so we're playing 2 copies of Ecclesia after that, along with 1 copy of Fleur-de-Lis. You don't necessarily need to max out in your Ecclesias, given that it locks you out of the extra deck and you really only have the 1 extra deck play. It's just here to get you to punishments and a Fleur-de-Lis to try and give you that bit of added negation. Then we get into a generic hand trap, so this can be anything that you require for your locals, but of course, as always, 3 copies of Ash Blossom is just the most generic thing to be going with. And then, because we are playing Dragoon, our monster line ends with 1 copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon and 1 copy of Dark Magician. Then we get into our spell line. Originally I was considering playing Imperial Order in this list, given that it is quite good in the format at the moment, or maybe even anti-spell. Then I realized there was actually like a decent number of spell cards in this deck, and you really don't want to top deck them and not be able to resolve them. So we decided not to be playing that in our trap line, which does mean our spell line is still pretty expansive. It's 3 copies into Dear Servant. You do pretty much have a free extra deck, so you're going to be trying to toolbox this out as much as possible. Just getting your Ecclesias, getting pops, getting adds, whatever you really need to get going. Then after that, because that extra deck is so free, we are playing 3 copies of Prosperity. As I don't own multiple copies of Dragoon and Verte, I'm not playing the Extravagance. If I did have multiples of those cards, I would probably consider playing Extravagance over the Prosperity, just because it gives you 2 cards, and given you're a control deck, you just really want more resources. You can also consider playing like a mixed line of maybe like 3 of one and 2 of another. That's always a good option. Then we get into the rest of our spells. So for more the power cards, we've got 1 Red Eyes Fusion for your Dragoon, and we've got 1 copy of Called by the Grave just to get rid of those pesky hand traps. Then for our Eldlich spells, we've got 3 copies of Cursed Eldland, of course, super consistent. I do think this will get reprinted in the Megatins. I think we're going to definitely see this set sneak in. I have seen some common leaks that had some Eldlich stuff in it, I believe. So there's more than a chance that we're going to see a Cursed Eldland reprint in the Megatins, so keep an eye out for that. And then, because we are playing the 3 copies of Golden Lord, we can afford to play the 1 copy of Eldlich or Black Awakening. Just gives you that little bit of added consistency for that kind of special summons and stuff. I do keep in mind, though, that does look you to zombies still. Then we get into our trap line, so we've got 3 copies of Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine starting us off, of course, just to get you access to that Golden Lord on your opponent's turn. Then we've got 3 copies of Conch for that pop, and then 2 copies of Haquero. These are just pretty standard lines for your Golden Lord stuff, along with your Eldlixirs. Of course, you get the pop, you get the banish. In the mirror, you can banish out your opponent's Golden Lords, and hopefully you're playing 3 and they're playing 2, and you've won because of that. Then we get into the rest of our trap lines. We've got 2 copies of Dogmatica Punishment. Of course, gets you that pop. You can toolbox out your extra deck to get double pops or get searches, whatever you really need. Then we are playing 3 copies of Impermanence after this, just to give us a trap card that we can also play as a hand trap. Of course, you can switch this out for other hand traps if you do require it. And then, after that, 2 copies of Solemn Strike, just to give you that bit of negation, can clear off some pesky stuff off board. And then lastly, 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. Given that your Golden Lord, when it comes back to board, can't be destroyed by card effect, Torrential Tribute can come in really clutch there and just kind of blow everything. Okay, so next off we get into our extra deck, and this is essentially just a toolboxed out extra deck. You do want to have access to as much as possible, given that you're playing the Dogmatic Alliance, and Eldlich doesn't necessarily always use a lot of their extra deck. That does of course mean we are just playing the 1 copy of Dragoon, of course. I would recommend playing multiple if you did want to go for an extravagance build. Then for the rest of our fusions, they are toolbox cards, so we've got 1 copy of Titanic Lad the Ash Dragon for accessing our Dogmatica line, and then 2 copies of Entis to give us the free pops to kind of clear our opponent's board. Then we get into our Link monsters. For the Link 1, we've got 1 copy of Link Spider because it's necessary to get you through to your Verte when you've used one of the traps. I believe I've just had a blackout, so hopefully we're all still recording here. I've still got lights, we've still got camera. Hopefully that means we're still good to go. Then we got the rest of our links. Everything's just decided to come back on. Hopefully stuff's starting to turn on. I do apologise for that. We've got 1 copy of Verte after that. This is of course what you're going to be using to get into your Dragoon lines. Then we've got a bit of a toolbox to kind of get you through to an access code. We've got 1 Phoenix for clearing off pesky back row and stuff. Do keep in mind that your conch can really handle the same stuff, so it's not necessarily super necessary to go into this. 1 copy of Unicorn, of course, gets you that spin back into the deck, and it is a 3 to, of course, transition to an access code. Do keep in mind, though, you can't use this essential line when you use Sanguine, because it does lock you into zombies, so do keep that in mind. Then for our Xyz, we're playing 1 copy of Constellar Pleiades, because you can make it with 2 of the trap monsters, and then get that bounce. Then for our rank 10s, we're playing 1 Gustav, 1 Juggernaut Lieb, and 1 Superdora, because again, these just kind of facilitate pushes for game. Then lastly, we have 2 Synchros, so we are playing 1 copy of Omega to put stuff back into our extra deck, and 1 copy of Wind Pegasus at Ignista to just kind of threaten the opponent and get that little bit of added removal. Okay, that wraps up here for the deck profile for this one. I do apologise for the disruptions and any inconveniences that have happened on this one. It is a little bit brief because I am trying to be a bit kind of faster on this, even though I kind of feel like I'm talking with a really mellow voice, so hopefully this hasn't been too bad. But I've been Ben, of course, from NolanTCG. If you do have any recommendations or things you would change, make sure to comment them down below as always. But as always, yeah, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.